Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Grab a snack, relax, and let's talk about the unknowns of anxiety. The amount of people that experience these feelings is increasing every year, and I think that it's an important subject to talk about. So, anxiety and feeling anxious is obviously a feeling that anyone can feel and should feel. It's related to stress, and it can kind of be an alarm in your mind that tells you when something's wrong, or you need to be cautious for something. It's a tool that our mind uses in order to try and keep us safe, in order to try to keep us out of danger. But there are people that experience anxiety in many different situations, to the point of where it is diagnosed as a disorder, and some people are medicated for it. As I've gone on, there are more and more people in my life that tend to feel these kinds of feelings, and they need to be addressed, whether that's for social anxiety, food anxiety, anxiety with driving a car, or any other form of anxiety. And I feel like it's important for those of us who aren't diagnosed with anxiety to understand what it is and how we can help those who have it. Speaking from experience, when I was younger and didn't really understand what anxiety was or how to help people with it, I made the mistake of treating them like a burden, of telling them to just get over it. It's not that big of a deal. You are fine. And that is just the wrong approach to it. I spoke with a few people who experience anxiety on a day-to-day basis and are actually diagnosed with it. They gave me their opinions and viewpoints on what it's like to have anxiety. So one of them said that when they're experiencing anxiety, every possible wrong scenario is running through your mind. There's not enough space between the bad scenarios and the panic to just slow down. And when everyone else around you is not experiencing this, for instance, if you're going bowling or you're in an arcade, it just overall makes you feel stupid. Because anxiety is not physically visible, people will sort of talk down to you. They'll yell at them without trying to understand what's causing the issue, and they'll make it significantly worse. It can feel like everyone is watching your every move, that everyone is judging you, that you are in a position where everyone and everything around you is trying or waiting for your downfall, that they're waiting for you to make one step that makes you look like a fool, or that makes you break down. And feeling like this, when everyone else around you is telling you to get over it or calm down out of frustration, makes you feel very, very isolated. When feeling these kinds of anxiety, and when people don't understand and make you feel isolated, it makes you feel alone. And our brains are wired to activate flight or fight, which is why we seek so much companionship. And when we don't feel companionship, and we don't feel like we belong, it will cause that sense of isolation, which will just make everything worse. And anxiety has become a very broad term. Like I previously mentioned, there are many different types of anxiety, like the social anxiety or like the food anxiety, and it can mean a lot of different things. Overall, if you are like me, who don't necessarily feel these types of feelings, and there are people in your life that do, we just need to be more understanding of each other. Slow down. Don't get angry at them. It's not their fault. And you need to understand that just because somebody doesn't want to go bowling or dancing because of their anxiety, they are not a burden to you. They are not somebody that you need to cut loose. It's just simply something they don't like and they don't want to do. For instance, I hate backpacking and I hate hiking. Just because anxiety stops somebody from wanting to do an activity does not mean that we should slander them, does not mean that we should make them feel bad about themselves, because they can't control it. And that's something that was hard for me to understand, and it's something that's hard for others to understand as well. Most people that have anxiety do not want that. They want to be able to go do activities. They want to be able to go in public. They want to not feel the way they feel. But even if they do, that's okay. There's certain activities that I don't like. There's certain activities that I don't want to do. And as a friend, you should respect that. You need to respect things that people don't want to do. I don't like going backpacking. I don't really like going hiking. Some of my other friends really don't like going bowling, so we won't do those activities. Or we'll do a different activity with them, and it's just as simple as that. Anxiety is scary. It can feel like there's these walls that are closing in on you, that are about to crush you. And it's really scary, and it's really hard for onlookers to understand that. It's hard for onlookers to understand what it feels like, what they're going through, and how scary it is. It's hard to not be comfortable in your own skin. And it's even harder for people around you to tell you to get over it, to become comfortable in your own skin, to ignore those closing walls. Just because it's not physical does not mean it's not there. It's similar to if you had a migraine and it was making it incredibly difficult to function. Nobody else can see it, but it is certainly affecting you. And it's like somebody telling you, hey, knock it off. Just make the migraine stop. It's not that big of a deal, but it is that big of a deal. Show a little love and show a little compassion, and it will make everything for everyone a little easier and a little safer. Anxiety is not something that should destroy friendships or that will put a halt to any relationship you have with a person. We just need to be more understanding of each other. And that goes for people with anxiety too. Of course, people need to be mindful of how anxiety is and how hard it is to deal with it. But from the people I've talked to, you can't use your mental disorder as a crutch. You can't use that as an excuse for everything. And you need to work and fight against it. Instead of letting it control you, control it. And having anxiety is not always a bad thing. You can connect more emotionally with people and be more empathetic towards people that are in a similar situation as you. Overall, we just need to love each other. We need to understand that anxiety is something that a lot of people go through, that it affects them on their day-to-day life. We need to try and understand them, help them, and be supportive of them. Learn what you can do to make them feel better. Learn what you can do to make them more comfortable. And it will go both ways. We need to do what we can do to make those who feel like they don't belong or feel anxious comfortable. We need to learn what helps them feel like they're safe. We all need to be there for each other. Anxiety is scary. Mental disorders are scary. Our brains are scary. But we are all here for each other. We are all here to help life be a little bit easier. So let's be understanding. Let's relax a little bit. Be a little more patient with those that are feeling anxious or feeling other kinds of feelings that you don't understand. And when you're understanding to them, they'll be so much more understanding to you. Because being told you're being crazy or being told you're being ridiculous, it doesn't help anyone. It makes them feel bad about themselves, and it makes them resent you. It makes them feel isolated, and it makes them feel unloved and not understood. And what is the point of that? Where does that get anybody? How does that help anybody? All it does is bring people down. And we don't need any more of that. If you have people in your life that feel this kind of way, that feel anxious, that have other things that you don't quite understand, sit down with them. Talk. Ask them, what is it like being you? What is it like feeling these kinds of ways? And how can I help you? How can I be there for you? And your relationship with that person will get so much better and so much brighter. And it will be easier for you, and it will be easier for them. And that's what it's all about. It's just about talking to each other, understanding each other, and loving each other. And that's all we're here to do. Love each other and enjoy life. Thanks for having a little chat with me. I hope if you weren't already aware, you can be a little more understanding towards those that feel anxious or other kinds of ways. And they'll be a little more understanding to you. Thanks for sitting with me today. Until next week, goodbye.